How about now? What the heck? Can you hear me now? Also, the box is way up high. Let's fix that. That's a little better. Is that better now? It looks like it's coming out on my end. Somehow I guess the settings got changed. Anyway, I was saying hello to everyone in the chat. Phil, Jeff, Bonich, Julie, Laura Dalloway, Leon, Nathan, Phil, Billy, Handsome Ratch, Irving, Ghost Trio Boys, lots of folks. I hope I got everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is the start of something I've kind of wanted to do, and sort of been doing anyway, when we did the the Haunting Ground video, and I talked about alchemy. Sometimes I want to do a video like that, but we don't connect it to a video game, because it doesn't really appear, like, there's not really a connection there. I was going to do Hellblade and Runes, but I haven't finished my prep for that, so we'll do that next time. So this time we're just going to talk about numbers and how magic and evil they are. The idea behind this is just an excuse to talk about the occult magical stuff that folks seem to enjoy learning about from my channel in a more relaxed way. Numbers have been considered magical in the Western occult tradition since, like, the ancient times. When I say Western occult, what we're really talking about today is going to be Christianity and Judaism in Europe, which eventually will spread, elsewhere. But this is especially Europe. It starts in Greece, Rome, and later Egypt, because those three kind of, fused, Hellenized, got conquered by each other. And that's where we're going to find the concept of magic numbers and what they mean in terms of European occultism. It's all thanks to Pythagoras, who you probably remember from your math classes. He did math things that I can't tell you about because I failed math. But he also thought math was magic. He thought numbers were the reason for the existence of a rational universe, which I guess he's not wrong. I'm not a mathematician, but it seems like math makes the world go round. But also it makes magic. We discussed this a little bit in the Haunting Ground video because it also has to do with alchemy. All these various traditions were basically created and influenced by the same people, who were also typically scientists, because back then these people did the same thing. The people studying science and math were also studying alchemy and magic, and it was all the same. What's up with the number 4? We'll find out. So Pythagoras thought numbers were the reason for the universe, they're magic, and he discovered the octave, which is the musical A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G. Like, it's a music thing. You've probably played octaves if you've played an instrument. And in discovering that, he kind of figured out that, numbers, you can define the universe with numbers, basically. And that idea influenced basically every occultist that came after him. Pythagoras started a cult, and the cult murdered the person who proved irrational numbers. I'd never heard of that. That's pretty great. So he proves, or he doesn't really prove, he thinks numbers are magic, and everybody else kind of follows after that. He discovers the octave, and kind of defines what numbers are always going to be magical. Odd numbers and even numbers are defined as male and female. Can anybody guess why odds are male and evens are female? Anybody? They used to visually representing numbers as dots, which I showed y'all the tetraclys in the last video. That's the 10 dots. That's the number 10, which is like the magic number behind everything. When you do numbers as dots, odds always have an extra piece. And it's that extra piece that makes them odd, makes them male, because they have a thing. Evens don't, and evens can be reduced down to 0. You can divide them evenly, so they are nothingness. They are empty, which female has, it has an emptiness, and males have a... everything goes back to sex. That's why numbers are designed, female are evens and male are odd. Unfortunately, that also means that even numbers were considered evil. There's a lot of reasons why female has been associated with evil over time and with magic. My own theory is that when they started to decide that magic was evil and women had always been associated with magic and that kind of thing, that got twisted into occultism. Anyway, female numbers are evil. And you're going to find, when we get to the part where we talk about names being associated with numbers, the even numbers are always a little more boring because they're the female ones. Anyway. So, each number is kind of given its own personality, especially the ones from 1 and 9. They are the ones that are the most important numbers. They have important magical implications. They're used in all kinds of equations in magic and things like that. And the other numbers are kind of considered derivatives of them because it just uses the same ones over and over. 11 and 22 are the only other ones in numerology which are also considered very important, but we'll get to those. 1 and 9, 1 through 9 are the most important in terms of magic. 1 is God, or the monad, because there is only one God in, Christian and Judaism, both which are the major influences in magic and numerology in the West. There's only one God, so God is always represented by 1. 1 will be, let's see where I wrote down 1. Oh, I wrote it down here on the computer. I have too many notes. He's is the unity behind diversity, which is a phrase you'll hear a lot in occultism because they were fascinated by the fact that all life is so incredibly different, but it's all alive. The unity behind diversity is the 1, which is God. The dyad, which is the number 2, is the number of opposites and tension and strife. It is the problematic number, even though it's also the one that creates life, because you can't really conceive of having, more than just God until you separate. 2 is the first number that breaks off from 1, so if 1 is God, then 2 is God and something else. In Kabbalah, it's considered thought. That the first thing God creates is thought because he thinks of the universe. That is the first concept that exists other than God. We had God and then God thought, and God's thought was the second creation. The triad is called the transcendent function, which also exists in a lot of occult stuff. The transcendent function is the unification of opposites. The idea that 2 can only be yes and no, male and female, opposites. Only with 3 can you unite opposites. You can have male, female, intersex. You can have yes, no, maybe. So 3 is one of the most important numbers in magic, and it's why, you have the Trinity in, traditional, in Christianity and such. You have, you have a lot of Trinities. It's very, very important. And yes, as Dartnock says, God of Trinity is 3 gods into 1 God. There's a lot of multiplicity of identity in numbers. God is 1, but God is also 3, and the idea behind that is the number 1 is considered infertile. You cannot create from just 1, but God can create, so God must be the 1, but also more than 1. God is the Trinity, and the Trinity represents male genitalia, because there's, the 3 pieces, the 2 dangly bits and the longer piece, 3 pieces. The third number is the male genitals, and that is the one that is God and allows God to create. The number 4 is construction. It's the 4 elements, which in this time period, way back when in Greece, it was considered that everything in the universe was made of the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, water. So 4 is the number of building things. You think about a table, it has 4 legs. You gotta have 4 to build stuff. At least 2 of my religion teachers from high school would be very offended by this. Oh man, there's so much in this stuff that's really, even though it came from old-timey Christians and their traditions, we would offend so many Christians. Judaism, in my experience, tends to be less they still have a bit of division between their mysticism and their mainline traditions, but the ideas in both are not so divided as Christianity and Christianity's mysticism. Christianity's mysticism is the entire opposite of everything mainline Christians believe. Hi, Sergey. Do I plan to make a video on .hack? I do own the first .hack game, so I may eventually get around to researching, writing about that, but we will see. All right, so 5 is the number of sexuality and the senses, because we have the 5 senses. Humanity is typically represented by 5 because we have a head, a torso, and we have, well, the head and the torso are the same. The torso and the 4 limbs, 5. And especially male sexuality is considered 5 because of male sex is just everywhere anyway. But the number 6 is actually female, and one of the better numbers considered for female. It's actually a nice number. We Jews are better. Muse said it. Hey, I don't take it back. All my experiences personally with Christian been bad. Anyway. Christians have a harder time reconciling anything that is outside their own worldview. They don't want to listen to it. They don't want to know it. They're just la 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 la. Anyway, 6 is the perfect number. It is the harmonious number, and it's the number of female love because the number 2, which is female, and the number 3, which is male, multiplied makes 6. In other words, it represents sex. 8, actually we skipped 7. Where did 7 go? 7 is a magic number because nothing multiplies to make it. Nothing really, like, it's a weird standout number in the first 9. And it's also the number 4, which is the elements, and number 3, which is Trinity God put together. It's a really powerful number and very important to occultism. It's also the 7 days of the week. There's 7 notes in an octave. There are a lot of 7s in the universe. 7 archangels in Christianity. Which there's only like 3 and 4 in the other ones, but Christians had to have, they were like, we want more of them. 8 is infinity, because if you turn it sideways, it's infinite. You know, it's the symbol of infinity. It involves worldly life and creation of life, birth, because again, gotta go back to the bodies into sex. Humans have 7 orifices. You got your nose and your mouth and your ears and your eyes and what's down below. But if you have a vagina, you have an extra one. You have 8 orifices, and that extra one creates life. So 8 is the number of creating life. Then we skip 10. 10 is actually kind of, in a lot of occult traditions, is 1. Because 1 plus 0 is 1, which we've talked about in the alchemy video. The idea that the philosopher's stone is made by solving the number equation 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10, which is 1. So 10 isn't really used in numerology, which is what we're building up to. 11 is kind of a mystical number because it's 1 more than the first set. It's the beginning of a new set. It also represents the loyal members of the apostles, you know, Jesus' little band, minus Judas. And it represents like power and revelation. 22 is an incredibly magic number because a lot of things in the occult are 22. There was 22 Hebrew letters. There's 22 tarot cards. There's 22 paths in the tree of life. 22 is the number that holds all the secrets of the universe. It is the master number is literally what it is called. It is super powerful. So all these numbers are used in the way that they represent various things in other occult traditions. Numerology, and it's, well, we haven't really gotten to what numerology is specifically, but number symbolism influences a lot of other occult traditions, and it comes from, you know, ancient Greece through, you know, Pythagoras and those guys, and was, you know, kind of spread out into other traditions. We're going to take a moment and step into Judaism, because Judaism kind of took it their own direction. And what they do is they have a tradition, which is kind of a Jewish mysticism like the Kabbalah, called Gematria, which is the idea, it's a way of approaching the Tanakh, which I'm probably saying all these words wrong, forgive me. That is the word for the Hebrew Bible. It is a way of approaching reading it that sees it as having secret meaning. There are hidden meanings in the Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible, that if you know how to figure them out and how to, you know, dig deep, you can find more knowledge in there. Gematria basically says there's secrets that we can find in the Bible if you know how to find them. And it has to do with the fact that Hebrew, like Greek, the letters are also numbers. You know how, like Final Fantasy 10 is an X because Roman numeral X is also a letter, is, a number. They both have numerical value, alphabetical value. Hebrew's the same. So if you look at a Hebrew word, you can add up the letters and come up with a number. So then, if you add up and find those numbers, and then you find something else that has the same numerical value, suddenly those two words or those two phrases are connected. So Gematria is about reading the Hebrew Bible and finding in the numerical values of words certain meaning. And there's a lot of traditional kind of number meanings that have come from that. You probably know of the most famous one, 666 being the mark of Satan or of the beast. That is from Gematria, from adding up certain words in the Bible and coming up with 666. Though actually in certain medieval texts, it's actually 616, but that's not the one you'll ever hear. And that idea of Gematria and finding meaning in words with numerical values is where numerology comes from. But numerology takes it outside of the Bible and approaches everything as having a numerical value. So, the idea is you assign every letter in the English alphabet a numerical value, and once you figure that out, you add the values together, reduce it to something below 1 through 9, and then you have that word's value, that word's meaning, and that meaning has some kind of definition based on, like what we've talked about, what the different numbers mean. But they go into a little more detail based on what they're kind of looking at. There's two versions. There's one that approaches it from a worldly standpoint of like, when will there be a war, or when will this kingdom fall? And then there's one that's very personal about looking at, what it means for you as an individual, what your name number is. A big part of numerology that you probably know the most is reducing your name to a number and then looking up your personality. There's a heart number that comes from adding up the vowels. There's personality number is the consonants, and you can do a birth number based on adding up your birthday, month, and year. And all those are supposed to tell you things about yourself. It's kind of like astrology. Like it's a kind of a fun game to add up all the numbers and figure out what it means. But where does it come from? It comes from, the idea of Gematria and the idea that the words have numerical value. Because in English, that's not really, we don't have, like the letter E doesn't have a numerical value, which is why when they have this kind of process, they have to use, there's two models. The one model is using Hebrew. So what they do is, the chart up there is they take the letters and their equivalent Hebrew letter and they add, the number to it. So Hebrew letter A, the value is 1. So A in English is 1. There's certain letters that Hebrew didn't have, and for that they mixed in Greek, because Greek also has letters that equal numbers. The only one that's missing, as you'll see up there, is the number 9, because there's no equivalent number 9 letter for Greek or Hebrew. There's a different model that associates the numbers just by going through the alphabet, 1 through 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that. But I prefer to use the Hebrew model, because if you're going to do weird, goofy magic stuff, it might as well be based in something that's 2,000 years old rather than just a chart some guy made up last week. Might as well use the old model. Thank you, Nico Lover. I hope you stream Silent Hill one day. I've been trying to stream it more often. We did 3 last time. We'll do another one soon. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, I enjoyed doing that. That was fun. So yeah, that's the concept behind numerology. So what we're going to do now, I think I touched on everything I was going to touch on. I could probably put this away. Let's see. Yeah, I touched on everything. We're going to actually add up all our names and figure out what our numbers are. And as goofy as this all sounds, which it is pretty goofy, there's something to the idea that numbers have a meaning, if only because humans perceive numbers certain ways. Like the way that we perceive the number 2, the way that we perceive 3, symbolically is different. Does it mean that your personality number defines who you are? No, but it's fun. So to do this, what you're going to do is you're going to take your name, and it doesn't have to be your full name, whatever name you want to associate with yourself. Pick whatever. You can take the name, associate the different numbers, and then add them up. So for me, we're going to do Muse. I've already done my birth name. M is 4. U is 6. So let's see. 4, 6 is 10. S is... Where is S? Right. Is that S? I can't read it from here. Okay, I guess that's S is 3. So that's 13. And E is 5. So that's 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. So my number for my name would be 9. If I wanted to do my heart number, that would be just the vowels. So U and E, 6 and 3. No, 6 and 5, 11, so that'd be 2. So the heart number is supposed to be your inner personality, like who you are on the inside, you know, your hidden depths. Your outer personality is how you actually act and behave and what you wear on the outside. That's your consonants. So M and S would be 4 and 3. That'd be 7. That's nice. So now we've figured out our numbers, and make sure you got to reduce it to a number below 9 unless you get 11 or 22, which are the special ones. So if you end up with you add up all your numbers and you have 13, we'll then add 1 plus 3 to get the lower number. All right. So let's see. Billy's got 2 plus 1, 3, 3, 1. How'd you get so many? Oh, you have more letters. Duh, I'm stupid. So that's 10. So actually you would be 1, which is the first number we got, which is let's see here. Number 1. People whose names add to 1 have great fixity of purpose and an unswerving drive towards achievement. They are single-minded or one-track-minded. Powerful characters, positive, obstinate, self-reliant, self-assertive, ambitious, and aggressive. Excellent powers of concentration and good memories. They are leaders. They create, originate, and invent. They are pioneers, always drawn to the new and unusual. Extremely independent people who do not take orders well or cooperate with others. They resent advice and usually refuse to follow it. Not always pleasant people. I'm sorry, Billy. They tend to have little interest in friendship or love and have few close friends. Well, they are friendly and sympathetic. It may be because they think it is to their advantage to be so. Jesus. They like to dominate those around them, sometimes to the point of tyranny. They are essentially people who look after number 1. Well, I'm sure you're nicer than that makes it sound, Billy, but this is taken from The Black Arts, which is a classic of occult research. One of the first ones published in, well, probably not the first, but the one that really popularized this kind of research in the U.S. in the 1950s by Richard Cavendish. So that's number 1. Again, that's also the number of God. So number 2, which is the first feminine number, also associated with the devil because 2 is horns. 2 is the first number to rebel from God. Anyway. People whose number is 2 have qualities that are traditionally regarded as feminine. They have soft, sweet natures, quiet, tactful, conciliatory, even-tempered, lovers of peace and harmony. They tend to play second fiddle and make excellent subordinates, conscientious, tidy, and modest. They are followers rather than leaders, and if they do not get their own way, they do it by persuasion and diplomacy, not by asserting themselves. They are often shy and self-conscious. They are likely to change their minds frequently and tend to put things off and generally shilly-shally. There's a dark and sinister side to the 2, which may show itself in cruelty, malice, and deceit. Oh boy. I just looked up 6 and I'm laughing really hard. That'll be fun. Yeah, my number for my actual name is 7, which ironically actually fits me, but we'll get there. If your number is 3, you are brilliant, imaginative, versatile, and energetic. You express yourself boldly, vividly on all possible occasions. Witty, lively, charming, likely to be extremely successful, often highly talented, especially in the arts. They take things lightly and easily and tend to be lucky. They seem to succeed without really trying. Proud and independent people, they are ambitious, commanding, sometimes dictatorial. Their faults are a tendency to spread their efforts wastefully in too many directions and an inability to take anything seriously. They are inclined to be over-anxious for popularity and other people's approval. 2s are natural subs, 1s are natural doms. You're not wrong. 4 is the number of solid, practical, uninspired, and uninspiring people. They lack creative spark, but may be efficient organizers and administrators. Down to earth, calm, steady, industrious, respectful, they think of themselves as pillars of society. They like routine, detail, and hard work. They have an unfortunate tendency to be stern, grim, repressive, plotting, suspicious, and resentful. Notice how 2 and 4 get the short ends of the stick? Remember how I said the female numbers don't, they get less cool shit? I'm so sorry. There's an odd streak in the 4 nature, which comes out in fits of melancholy or sudden outbursts. 4s are not likely to be successful in life, and any success they have will not be won easily. 4 is traditionally the number of poverty, misery, and defeat. Most modern numerologists try to gloss over this as much as they can, but the picture of 4 is not a happy one. Ugh! 5 is a much brighter person altogether, because again, we're back to male numbers. Restless, jumpy, clever, impatient, living on his nerves. The unusual and bizarre fascinate him. He loves travel, new people, and different surroundings. Jacks of all trade and masters of none, attracted by everything but held by nothing. They enjoy gambling, speculation, and risks, and make excellent salesmen. Adventurous, attractive people, quick-tempered, sometimes conceited and sarcastic. They detest responsibility and avoid it. They hate to be tied down or in a rut. Often inconsiderate and self-indulgent, they are resourceful, resilient, many-sided people. Hard to analyze or pin down. 5s have interesting but highly unstable love lives, and the dark side of their nature may show itself in excess, debauchery, or perversion. Oh boy. Which book am I reading? This is The Black Arts by Richard Cavendish, which is a semi-old, not old, but like an older book on this kind of research. Yeah, the 1950s, which is when this came out, was kind of the beginning of the revival of interest in this kind of stuff, and his book had a lot to do with normal, everyday people getting involved in this kind of research. 6 is the number of harmony, domesticity, and peaceful happiness. 6s are equable, kindly, reliable, and well-balanced. They have a great talent for friendship and home and family life. They are loyal, conscientious, idealistic, and affectionate. Wholesome and conventional, unlike 5s. And without the brilliance of 3s, they may be more successful than either in the long run, especially in the arts and teaching. Although they are capable and thorough workers, they usually lack flair for business. They're happiest in a quiet circle of friends and family, sometimes inclined to be smug and self-satisfied, fussy and gossipy, obstinate and conceited. Whew! Wow, that's you, handsome wretch? God. Okay, now we're on number 7, which is me, which... Okay, hey, I'll take it. 7 is the number of the scholar, the philosopher, the mystic, and the occultist. 7s are natural reclusives. They like to withdraw from the maddening bustle of the world, to be alone, to meditate and reflect. Dignified, reserved, self-controlled, serious. They have no patience with foolish or frivolity. I don't know about that. They care nothing for money and very little for physical comfort. I could use money. If I have money, I have more books. They have powerful and penetrating intellects, but there's also a dreamy side to their character. Highly imaginative, sometimes fey and strange. Often extraordinarily bad at explaining themselves and their ideas, and they tend to dislike being questioned or argued with. They're sometimes deeply unhappy people! Pessimistic pessimistic, disappointed, aloof, superior, witheringly sarcastic. Well, that fell apart at the end there, but he's just got to get a last dig in on everybody. 8 stands for power, money, and worldly involvement. It's the number of material success or failure. 8s are strong, tough, practical people, successful businessmen or politicians, but their course through life is never easy. They do not accumulate money with the careless ease of the 3s. Their careers are built on struggle, strain, effort, care, and drudgery. They conduct their operations cautiously and tenaciously, without inspiration. They can be hard, materialistic, selfish, sometimes tyrannical and unscrupulous. All the even numbers are so fucked over. They all suck. They can be hard, materialistic, selfish, tyrannical, and unscrupulous, not very active characters, and they may be sadly aware of the fact. Beneath their often grim and chill exterior, there is likely to be a layer of wild eccentricity, waywardness, and rebelliousness. They have the capacity for massive success, but they constantly face the possibility of resounding failure. 9 is the number of high mental and spiritual achievement. 9s are large-minded, visionary, idealistic, romantic, passionate, impulsive. They are people of wide sympathies and great charm. They have an intense urge to help other people and to serve the cause of humanity at large. They make brilliant scientists, teachers, and artists. Strong-willed and determined people, inspired and inspiring, they are often condemned by their duller contemporaries as wild, unorthodox, and impractical. They are easily imposed on, constantly fall in and out of love, and have a genuine horror of ugliness, poverty, old age, and unhappiness for themselves and everyone else. I mean, 3 of those, well, I wouldn't lump old age and ugliness with poverty and unhappiness. They can be uncharitable and intolerant when opposed. Their desire to do good may be expressed in a repellently conceited, egocentric way. Sometimes they seem too busy loving their fellow men to bother about the feelings of individuals. Apparently, President Lincoln and Kennedy both add to 9. Oh boy, wow. Oh man. So yeah, those are the main numbers. 11 and 22 are also used, but very few people's names seem to add up to that. Apparently Einstein is an 11. Is there anybody who's a 22? Napoleon was apparently a 22, maybe? Anyway, that's numerology and the magic of numbers, which, whether or not you believe in the actual concept of numerology, of adding up your number and it meaning something about you, the mythos that's behind the meaning of numbers has run through and influenced everything from art and math and science and literature, you know, the kind of numbers we use and the arrangement of them in various things. It really does, you know, the way that humans perceive numbers really does have meaning, and is used in everything from alchemy and ritual magic, all kinds of stuff. These kind of number meanings come up. It's funny that when they, during the Dark Ages, when they started cracking down on magic and casting spells and witchcraft, mathematicians were also cracked down upon because math was seen as magic. It was seen as a kind of magical formula, and you weren't allowed to do it. And you know, why didn't we just stick with that? Yeah, sign yourself a number and Mr. Cavendish will tell you you're a piece of shit. Yeah, honestly, that's kind of why I don't really buy into, I tend to be pretty open-minded about the reality of different occult things, but numerology just seems so reductive and mean. At least I think astrology is far more open-ended and far less, if you're a Scorpio, you're a piece of shit, you know? And there's also a lot of different factors, though, again, numerology is kind of meant to, you're supposed to kind of look at the whole picture, which again, you can have your birth number, which is when you add your birthday, day, month, and year together. Your heart number, that's your inner personality, which is your vowels. Your outer personality, which is your consonants, and then your whole name. And that can also be the name that people call you, or your full birth name. Like, there's 4 or 5 different things that you can kind of look at to get a fuller picture. But yeah, some of the numbers just legit suck. And like I said, it came down to the idea that there were male and female numbers, and over the years, genders kind of got, you know, female usually got the short end of the stick, unfortunately. But it's true. We are all pieces of shit. Well, sometimes I think you might be right. So that's just a short thing I thought would be fun to do. I want to do more of these. My plan is to do them on Sundays, once a week. Sometimes they'll be related to a video game we're playing, like Hellblade and the runes that I'm working on putting together. Sometimes they'll just be something like this, where we just chat. I want to try and transition the channel to being more about kind of the research that I do, rather than just a specific unnamed video game franchise that will be not named. Not because I don't still love it and don't still want to research it, but there's only so much you can do with a dead franchise that you've written about for 10 years. I think we're gonna switch to focusing on interactive research and discussion, writing. I want to try and get back to writing books because I think that's how I express myself best. I will still put out some video essays. My cousin Brad is my editor now and has been helping with that. But I just don't think I don't express myself best in that fashion. I will continue to do so because I know a lot of folks do love it, but it's not going to be my focus. Writing, research, live discussion, I think, is far more where I shine. I think I enjoy it best, and it helps me to remember what I'm reading if I talk about it. So look for the complete book of numerology by David Phillips. I will have to look into that. Because, this book is a general overview of a lot of different things, and only really specifically from Jewish and Christian points of view to a certain extent, because, it's only this long. You can't go into all that, but I'll have to look more into that, because I'm always curious to learn more about these kinds of things. So we get documentaries on secret organizations. Oh, yeah, I've been reading up on that kind of stuff. If you have requests, you can always put those in. I may let members be more specific about what it is they would like. Why can't we just eat noodles and watch movies instead? We do that in the Discord. Usually, when I'm not sick and off schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays are TV watching days. I think I'm going to make it where, like, Tuesdays we watch whatever show we're watching, and maybe Thursdays we do movies, because I have some movies and stuff that I really want to watch with folks, because that's the only time I don't watch TV unless I'm watching it with friends. If I want to start learning about cults and alchemy, where do I begin? This is a good start. There's also a guy, what's his name? Ugh. Gary Lockman. Gary Lockman is an incredibly readable academic who writes a lot of books about especially modern occultism. This one is The Secret Teachers of the Western World, and it covers thousands of years of history in very brief, this is like a brief overview of all of it. But he has other books that cover more in depth certain specific things. I will warn you, he's a weirdo. I hate the fact that I love this book because it is really well written, and it's really easy to read, and it's very informative, because he will just stop and have random thoughts. Things like, he was talking about someone who had a fantastic memory and made a sentence that was like, today we wouldn't have these kinds of people with fantastic memories because people only play video games. It's like, what? This has nothing to do with your point, and is also stupid. He does that 3 or 4 times in this book. It's the only one of his I've read, so I imagine the rest are just like that. But it is really informative. You will learn a lot. So Gary Lockman is a great start for a lot of occult research. Richard Cavendish, The Black Arts, is a classic. Check a website called sacredtexts.net. Let's see. No, .com, but with a little... has a little break in it. Let me go to the actual video so I can share this with y'all. It is a free collection of occult texts of all ages and times and all kinds of things. It's very dense. There's a lot of things in it, and some of them are not as readable, but you will be able to go to that website, click on what you're looking at, and see what you can find in that genre and read it for free. It might be a good place to start as well. There's some other ones as well, but that's the one I use the most. You may be able to find some other similar things from there, but yeah, my voice is leaving me, so I'm gonna have to call it for today. This is all I'm gonna be doing because, like I said, I've had sinus problems and my throat's very sore. But I hope to go back to a normal schedule soon. I will stream something tomorrow. I will let y'all know later, and I will see you guys next time. Oh, support the channel if you can, and you like what I do. For as little as 99 cents, you get lots of bonus stuff. I read books on the channel. I read poetry. There's so much extra content you can get just for 99 cents a month, and it helps me afford to do what I do. Yeah, follow me on social media to keep up to date with what's going on. Join the Discord to hang out with us and watch movies and play games and make friends. It's really fun. I think that's everything. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.